Vinicius Jr. targets Lamine Yamal after El Clasico. Only backward passes, only backward passes. The Clasico between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona ended in a charged atmosphere, perfectly reflecting the historic rivalry between Spain's two football giants. While Madrid's 2-1 victory delighted the Santiago Bernabéu crowd, a post-match scene quickly spread across social media, sparking heated debate throughout Spain. Television cameras captured a tense exchange between Real Madrid's Brazilian winger Vinicius Jr. and Barcelona's 17-year-old prodigy Lamine Yamal. As the players walked toward the tunnel, Vinicius, clearly euphoric after the win, turned to his young opponent and threw a sharp jab. Only backward passes, only backward passes. This short but scornful remark immediately made the rounds on sports channels and social platforms. For many, it perfectly illustrated Vinicius's fiery temperament, an exceptional talent often accompanied by a flair for provocation. Others saw it simply as an expression of the fierce rivalry that has long transcended the football field whenever Madrid and Barcelona meet. On the Madrid side, several commentators downplayed the incident, arguing that Vinicius merely expressed the emotions and tension inherent to such matches. "That's the passion of El Clasico," explained several former Real players, emphasizing that the Brazilian lives every game as a personal battle. But in Barcelona, the reaction was very different. The Catalan press condemned the behavior as arrogant and disrespectful, especially towards such a young player still learning the demands of top-level football. On the pitch, Yamal had hardly been out of place. Though occasionally cautious under Madrid's relentless pressure, he tried to inject creativity and width on the right flank. The game's physical intensity and Madrid's dominance in duels made his task difficult, yet he remained calm and humble, refusing to respond publicly to Vinicius's taunts. The episode reminded everyone that El Clasico is never just a match. It's a stage where emotions, generational rivalries, and egos collide. Vinicius embodies the fire and confidence of a Real Madrid at the peak of its power, while Yamal represents Barcelona's future, a raw talent in the making, destined to become the face of the club in years to come. Their clash symbolizes two contrasting football philosophies: Madrid's flamboyant, provocative style versus Barcelona's composed, technical approach. The "only backward passes" moment will likely go down as yet another anecdote in the endless story of El Clasico. It shows how every word, gesture, and glance can become a weapon in a rivalry where pride matters just as much as points on the scoreboard. True to his reputation, Vinicius Jr. continues to divide opinions, admired for his brilliance, criticized for his temperament. As for Lamine Yamal, he will likely emerge stronger from this experience. Every great player has faced such moments of tension before reaching full maturity. This Clasico may be just one episode among many, but it will be remembered as the night when a young Spanish prodigy stood his ground, verbally and symbolically, against one of the world's most explosive forwards. Post-Clasico tensions, Vinicius Jr. openly criticizes Lamine Yamal in the Bernabéu tunnel. Real Madrid's 2-1 victory over Barcelona could have been remembered purely as a sporting triumph, but a moment captured after the final whistle turned the night into a national controversy. In the corridors of the Santiago Bernabéu, as players made their way to the dressing rooms, cameras caught Vinicius Jr. verbally confronting young Barcelona winger Lamine Yamal. With a sarcastic tone, the Brazilian muttered, only backward passes," a phrase that went viral within minutes. The comment, uttered in the heat of a tense Clasico, once again showcased Vinicius's fiery personality. The Madrid forward is no stranger to provocative behavior, but this time his target wasn't a seasoned rival. It was a 17-year-old teenager regarded as one of Spain's brightest prospects. The Brazilian's attitude sparked national debate. Some viewed it as needless provocation, while others defended it as the impulsive reaction of an ultra-competitive athlete. Inside the stadium, tension between the two camps had already been palpable throughout the game. Vinicius, constantly at the heart of Madrid's play, never stopped teasing his opponents with dribbles, gestures, and facial expressions. On the other side, Yamal tried his best to stay focused, facing a more experienced rival supported by an entire stadium. The young Barca winger, often isolated, opted for a simpler approach, favoring safe passes to maintain possession. This conservative style, perceived by Vinicius as a sign of weakness, led to the now famous remark that dominated headlines. Several former Spanish players weighed in on the incident. Some reminded the public that the Clasico is a unique context, where adrenaline and pressure can push any player to the limit. Others criticized Vinicius, saying his behavior lacked respect toward a much younger opponent. "He's already proven himself on the pitch, he didn't need to humiliate a kid," said one former international on a local TV channel. Beyond the altercation lies a deeper symbolic contrast. Vinicius represents the triumphant, confident, and provocative Real Madrid, accustomed to the biggest stages. Yamal embodies Barcelona's rebuilding generation, full of young talents still learning their craft. The clash between the two, one at the peak of his career, the other just beginning, gives the exchange a symbolic dimension. Spanish media replayed the footage endlessly, while fans waged online wars of opinion. Madrid supporters saw in Vinicius's words proof that their star fears no one and asserts his dominance even verbally. Catalan fans, meanwhile, denounced the arrogance and lack of sportsmanship unworthy of a player of his caliber. Lamine Yamal himself stayed silent. Advised by those around him to avoid escalating the situation, he left the stadium without a word. His restraint was praised by some observers as a sign of maturity, proof that the best answer often comes on the pitch, not through words. Others interpreted it as the quiet reaction of a teenager still overwhelmed by the media frenzy surrounding every Clásico. This seemingly trivial moment says a lot about the extreme tension defining Madrid-Barcelona clashes. In such matches, every detail counts, every phrase becomes a symbol, and every gesture can reignite decades of rivalry. This verbal duel between Vinicius and Yamal is merely the latest expression of a feud where pride, ego, and passion intertwine without restraint. Beyond the scoreline, this Clásico will be remembered for that fleeting post-match moment, captured in seconds, debated for days. A reminder that in football, where emotion reigns supreme, words can sometimes wound as deeply as actions. And while Vinicius may have won the battle that night, nothing says Lamine Yamal won't one day get his revenge, not with words, but with football. Vinicius Jr. takes aim at Lamine Yamal after El Clásico. All you do is play it backwards. The latest El Clásico between Real Madrid and Barcelona ended exactly as it began, in tension, emotion, and controversy. Madrid's 2-1 victory at the Santiago Bernabéu might have been a triumph to celebrate, but it was what happened after the final whistle that truly set Spain ablaze. TV cameras caught Real Madrid's Brazilian star Vinicius Jr. exchanging heated words with Lamine Yamal, Barcelona's 17-year-old sensation, as the players walked down the tunnel. Energized by victory and never one to hold back, Vinicius turned toward the teenager and snapped. "All you do is pass it backwards. Just backwards." The remark, short, sharp, and dripping with contempt, spread across Spanish media in seconds. For some, it was yet another glimpse of Vinicius's fiery personality, a mix of brilliance and bravado. For others, it was proof of how deep and emotional the Madrid-Barca rivalry runs. Madrid celebrates, Barcelona fumes in Madrid. The incident was brushed aside as part of the passion that defines El Clásico. Former Real players rushed to defend the Brazilian. That's the fire of the Clásico. "He lives every match like a war," said one pundit, but in Catalonia, the mood was different. The Catalan press called Vinicius's words arrogant and disrespectful, accusing him of targeting a young player still learning the ropes. Yamal, for his part, had nothing to be ashamed of. Despite a difficult night against a physically dominant Madrid, he showed composure, creativity, and a cool head. Even as his every move was scrutinized by nearly 80,000 hostile fans, he refused to answer Vinicius's taunt, choosing silence over provocation. More than just a game, incidents like this remind everyone why El Clásico is unlike any other fixture. It's not only about football, it's about identity, pride, and ego. Vinicius embodies the swagger and confidence of a Real Madrid at full power. Yamal represents Barcelona's rebirth, young, technical, and ambitious. Their clash was more than a personal spat. It was the meeting of two eras, two philosophies, two ways of playing the game. The backward passes line will now join the long list of El Clásico flashpoints, moments that reveal just how thin the line is between emotion and provocation. Vinicius remains a player who divides opinion. Dazzling yet defiant, loved and loathed in equal measure. Yamal, meanwhile, will likely grow from this episode. Every future star has endured moments like this before truly arriving. The tunnel moment that became a national debate after the match, the scene went viral. Some Spanish commentators defended Vinicius as a passionate competitor. Others argued that mocking a teenager showed a lack of class. "He's proven everything he needs to on the pitch," said one former international. "He didn't have to put down a kid." In the stands, emotions had already boiled over. Vinicius, as usual, thrived on confrontation, with dribbles, gestures, and that trademark smirk. Yamal, more cautious, focused on keeping possession, often opting for safe passes rather than risky dribbles, a choice that, ironically, became the source of Vinicius's mockery. The moment captures the essence of El Clásico: pride against youth, confidence against restraint, the master taunting the apprentice. Spanish media replayed the clip endlessly, while social media turned it into a battleground. Madrid fans saw confidence, Barca fans saw arrogance. Yamal didn't respond publicly. Advised to stay quiet, he left the stadium in silence. To many, that silence spoke louder than words. "He'll answer on the pitch," wrote one Catalan journalist. Because in the end, that's what defines the rivalry. Words may sting, but football always has the final say. And while Vinicius may have won the war of words that night, few doubt that Lamine Yamal will one day get his revenge. not with insults, but with brilliance. It focuses on the controversy around Mbappe's disallowed goal, the offside confusion, and the broader implications for Barcelona's image after El Clasico. Controversy erupts after El Clasico, the stolen goal that shook Spain. It's hard not to question who truly benefited from the chaos that unfolded during yesterday's El Clasico between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. What should have been a celebration of Spanish football's greatest rivalry has once again descended into controversy, this time surrounding a disallowed goal by Kylian Mbappe that has left fans around the world in disbelief. Midway through the second half, with the scoreline hanging in the balance, Kylian Mbappe made a perfectly timed run behind the Madrid defense. A deflected ball from César landed right in his path, and the Frenchman calmly slotted the ball past André Lunin. For a few seconds, the Barcelona bench erupted, the match seemed back on, and momentum had shifted. But then, the flag went up, offside. A decision that defies logic. The problem? The replay told a very different story. Slow motion footage clearly showed that the ball had been played forward by César, a Real Madrid defender, not by a Barcelona player. According to the laws of the game, this meant that Mbappe was in an onside position when he received the pass. Yet, somehow, the VAR lines appeared, disappeared, and reappeared with millimetric precision, all in a way that conveniently favored Madrid. Fans and analysts were stunned. There's simply no offside there, one former referee commented live on Spanish television. Others went further, accusing the officiating team of manipulating the VAR lines to justify the call. On social media, the reaction was instant. Millimetrico became a trending word, dripping with irony. The image of the disallowed goal spread like wildfire, with fans freezing and zooming in on the frame that showed César touching the ball first. For many Barcelona supporters, this felt all too familiar. Once again, a crucial refereeing decision had gone against them at the Bernabeu. Once again, Madrid celebrated while Barca were left asking questions. It's always the same story, lamented a Catalan journalist after the match. Every time there's a doubt, it goes one way, never the other. Barcelona coach and players were visibly frustrated but refrained from direct criticism, aware that any public statement could lead to sanctions. Privately, however, several sources close to the team described the decision as a disgrace and a robbery in plain sight. Vinicius adds fuel to the fire. If the refereeing controversy wasn't enough, Vinicius Jr. made sure the headlines didn't stop there. As the players walked back to the dressing rooms, cameras captured the Brazilian mocking Barcelona's Lamine Yamal, telling him sarcastically, "Only backward passes. Only backward passes." The comment, now viral across Spain, perfectly encapsulated the tension that has defined recent Clásicos. For some, it was simply Vinicius being Vinicius, passionate, provocative, unapologetic. For others, it was a lack of respect toward a 17-year-old still finding his place in world football. The combination of Mbappe's stolen goal and Vinicius's tunnel provocation has created a storm that extends far beyond the pitch. The debate, technology, transparency, and trust. The incident reignited long-standing debates about VAR transparency in Spanish football. Why were the offside lines shown only briefly? Why was there no definitive angle shared with the public? Even neutral fans began to question whether the system, designed to ensure fairness, was being used selectively. Former players have called for the audio between the VAR room and the referee to be released, as is the case in other leagues.